Everyone lived, everyone died. Everyone cried. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time, brother, stop time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time, brother, stop time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, make peace, peace together. Peace.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining me on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. I may not have the best voice this evening, So if I sound real horsey, it's been like that for over a week. I I did not know that I actually had walking pneumonia. So yeah, I wasn't taking care of myself. So it's like I go through like some of the symptoms are bronchial asthma. Pardon me. So basically, what happened was I came down with the yeah. What can I say? Not so great, right? So I was feeling unwell for a while. Not sick as in cold flu. That was not that. It's just thing is I was having expectorant issues, and I wasn't cold or flu. It was just I lost my voice, and it was gone for a couple of days. Just couldn't find it. So I started taking natural medicines, and it's finally coming back. So I'm in and out, as and what's going on, right? So we're gonna give you guys some talk about the local news, also what's international across the world, and again, what the show, what my show is all about. The show is all about chasing shadows or shadow chasing, right? And myself, I've been a journalist for a lot of years, and I've been doing, being so. I'm kind of a person actually quite outspoken and what I believe in, and not to hurt anyone's feelings, so to speak. I'm not. That's not what my job is. My job is to find the truth, and that's what I've been doing all my life is finding the truth. People talk about Superman, for example, truth and justice, and that's exactly what it is. Fighting truth and for justice, and a lot of us are actually out there doing our thing as much as we possibly can. Let's see here, fix something, and I'll perk up my voice a bit. There, see what happens there. Good for well. So if you guys can't hear me in the chat room in YouTube, let me know. Okay, go into the chat room as well as in Facebook. Turn up the volume. You know what I mean? So I also want to thank everyone. Those that are new in the program. If you don't know what I do, my job is a psychic medium paranormal investigator, but I'm also a digital warrior, truth seeker. We've been fighting the good fight against tyranny. And this tyranny actually is based on it could have been the beginning of the Third World War. We could have had World War III. And if you're wondering why I'm looking this way, that way, it's because I'm running off two cameras. So there's one above me here, above my yeah, above me, and the other is right in front of me, which is my cell phone. So I'm running two cameras out at the same time. So I'm not looking away from people. I'm not even. I like to do my stuff. So making sure that a lot of people pick me up. Good. People can hear me. Great. Fantastic. So what's happening is there are some things that people have actually said to me. I've actually been sending some messages, and a couple of people are really upset. And I can understand them being upset, but it's not my fault. Some people are saying, Derek, when is this thing over? You promised. When is this thing over, Derek? You promised. I didn't promise anything. We're talking about getting all our lives back. This C-19 thing. And very well, folks, that those of you actually new in the chat room, this is bigger than you and I. If you think that what you wear is that on that mask or that on your face is that's what's protecting you, it's not. That mask on your face is to shut you up. It was made that way by the bad guys. And they did it purposely so they actually can depopulate the world. And this is what this whole thing's about, depopulation. The so-called CV, that's been around. That was actually, those of you new, come in the chat room. That's been planned for years. And actually, one of the main plans is the sense when the Rockefellers did that back in 1918, and they funded this one. They hired a scientist to create a sickness to get people dying by the thousands, and it went over 1 million. But the people the scientist that scientist was Dr. Bill Gates Sr. And coming around 2019, the junior was the next one that funded for the second CV, with including his buddy and partner Fauci. And because Fauci was well known for creating V's all across the world where people can no longer survive. And they enjoyed the pleasure of watching people die. Why? Because to them, that makes them money. They make money on death, not life. That's what this whole thing's about. I discovered this through, like everybody else. When I realized after, my wife and I were talking about this many years ago when the bird flu came out back in 2004, 3 and 4. The bird flu was supposed to have been out there all across British Columbia, Canada, and all these people that work for the science labs, whatever they have, whoever these people are, their job, they get hired to destroy all the healthy birds, whether they're chickens, turkeys, you name it. Okay, destroy all the farmers' animals, to kill all the birds, chickens and turkeys. Why? Because their job is to make sure you don't have food. Okay, and that's where it started back in 2000, 2003, 2004. So where I live here in British Columbia, there's an area called Abbotsford and another area called Chilliwack. And that is north of here where I live. Abbotsford and Chilliwack have the largest farming industry of chickens and turkeys and geese and you name it. Every fowl you can think of that actually is a food product or supplier of foods, like in eggs or meat. Okay. Anyways, all these factories were forced to shut down. Why? 90% of them never even had the bird flu. But the government ordered for them to all be destroyed by the hundreds of thousands. Why? Oh, what if the bird flu came in and then everyone gets sick? The bird flu doesn't do harm to humans. It just kills the birds. But they want you to think that if you eat the bird after it's dead, that you're going to be the carrier of the SARS bird flu. Who invented the bird flu? I can tell you right now. And his name is Fauci. He had created it. He actually one is the inventor of all of that. And there's proof. He's proven that he actually created it because Bill Gates told him to. And there are quite a few other people that are high above. Rothschilds, Rockefellers. Let's make something new. Okay? So the bird flu went as far as China because they're partners of back in the year 2000. And so what China decided to do is destroy all of the chickens, all of the wild, all the birds in their country because someone told them there's a bird flu. It was never proven by any. There are some people that are scientists and doctors and even vets, okay, veterinaries, that said there's no trace of bird flu in these birds. Oh, you're wrong. You're crazy. No, the scientist said it's got it. No, you're only a veterinary. You don't know better. I'm a scientist. I know more. Like I said, folks, a scientist is a doctor. A veterinarian is a doctor. They're both the same. Both do the same research on viruses for all animals. They do this every day. I'm a guy who grew up on a farm dealing with viruses every day when I was a kid. I learned, right? So back in 2003, 2004, here in Abbotsford and Chilliwack, these people decided to do destruction, as in destroying all the birds. And there's actually an area, there's a high mountain area in the Chilliwack region that friends of mine raise organic turkeys. Now, there's no way that they're going to be, and that no virus is going to climb that freaking mountain. Okay, 4,000 feet above sea level, where the turkeys were, organic farm. And the guy started venturing up the road, trying to get access to my organic friends who had this turkey farm, because I was personal friends, good friends with them, close friends. And so that these guys wearing hazmat suits, masks, the whole 9 yards, show up, trying to scare the crap out of the kids, because there's children up there living with a family, and they're trying to scare them. Say, we have to destroy all these birds because there's a SARS flu. Okay, what happened here? There we go. Resume. I waved my hand and it stopped. See what happens? You wave your hand. So that's exactly what happened. They decided they wanted to destroy all their turkeys. Guess what? They couldn't. Why? Because they're out of district. The mountain itself protected them. The government had no say in the matter on that mountain. None. So the guys said, we're going to destroy your birds. And he says, you have no say in the matter. The guy says, watch me. He goes in his house, comes out with a rifle. He's got it pointing at the bad boys. Get off my land, or one of you is going to get shot for trespassing. Leave now, or you're going to pay for it. They said, we'll call the police. You can't. Even the police can't come up here, because it's a law. They can't do anything about it because there's no trespassing. A specific part of this mountain is protected. And he was right. So they left, disgruntling. We'll be back. We'll make sure those birds will never live, they said. They'll be gone. So the next day, there was a plane flying over their farm, their turkey farm. And they were watching, and the husband was outside watching, working outdoors, and the wife's inside doing dishes. And he looks up, and the plane is flying really low, a biplane flying really low, and then it starts to spraying chemical, like as if you're spraying crops, right over, right? Next thing you know, plane's gone. That night, the husband was sick, very sick. The birds, when they woke up in the morning, all the turkeys were dead. I'm not kidding you. All the birds are dead. So he goes in. They took him to emergency, took him to the hospital, and they said, we don't know what's in your blood, but we can tell you this. It's like a cancer. It's attacking itself so fast. And he said, and they actually said, how did you get sick so fast? What kind of chemicals were you using? He said, we don't use chemicals up here. We have an organic farm. He said, but there was a plane that flew over our farm, our turkey farm, and sprayed all over our area. No other area, just there, sprayed over us. And my wife was indoors doing dishes with the kids. That man, within 30 days, died. The kids got really sick. They were wearing, and both children ended up in the hospital with lung conditions. The guy's wife phoned me up and she says to me, my husband had died, and about, she told me her story, what happened. And she says, I got a, and I got a feeling I'm not going to be here that long either. She tried to expose the story of the people that sprayed over her farm. She's only in her 30s. And she phoned me up that night and she says, they're trying to kill me. I got a phone call from them. They said, if I don't keep my mouth shut, that the children will die. Or we'll find other ways to silence you. Because basically, she was going to expose them back in 2003. I said, you stand up for yourself. Whatever you think you need to do, do it. So she spoke out and she did it. And she started doing a news editorial and she was going to share. And that was supposed to be it was supposed to be uh, placed into the newspaper to expose for what had happened, what they had done, their attempted murder of her husband by those guys that sprayed the skies. Well, basically, they did murder him. And within that month, she died. She couldn't breathe. Her lungs were collapsing. So basically, I don't know where the kids went from there. But I'll tell you this. This has been ongoing for a long time. And then you start hearing stories about different factories that suddenly got burnt down that had animals that were, chickens and turkeys and bird farms that were supposed to be supplying food to the people all across the world, whether it's Canada, United States, you name it. There's a map that shows all of these plants, poultry plants, have been burned down or destroyed. Gee, I wonder why. They were destroyed before even the word bird flu was released. And then suddenly today, I get a message from someone saying, well, before that, a year ago, we were warned and being told that Fauci was going to release the SARS bird virus again. And China was going to be the first people to say that we have to destroy all the birds. Do you know what the Chinese people were eating when they destroyed all their poultry? What was their other type of food source besides poultry when Fauci told them they had to be destroyed? Here's how it works, folks. The reason the animals that got eaten were the ones they decided to eat after they could not eat the birds, was no poultry for the longest time because Fauci ordered the bird flu to be just all the birds be destroyed. They start getting into eating cats and dogs and even human babies. It was becoming a staple, getting more into the cannibalism. It got worse. I remember seeing pictures and videos all the time, cats and dogs in bags, alive, in nets, and that's because that was the Chinese in China, their food source, because they destroyed all the birds. All their own domestic pets became their food source. So the thing is that, people used to joke years and years ago where they say, oh, your Chinese food once in a while has mice, baby mice, and in the shrimp, and or maybe some part of the animal was a cat. You joked about it, but guess what? The Chinese people listened to that joke too long, that joke for such a long time. It forced them to find some other alternative to eat other types of meat because they had no poultry. I don't blame them. I really don't. But what I do blame them for is because they didn't fight back. All of Shanghai got shut down, closed down again. They're all locked down right now. And also the government actually is actually has bolted all their doors closed of their houses, their buildings. They're not even allowed to leave. There's no food available for them. So now they're starving them to death. You know, this is there's such heartless people out there. The Chinese Communist Party, they're heartless. They don't care about their own people. Their agenda is to depopulate. You know, you sure if you make your you is you know it's sure the story could be late coming out, but they were doing it already. You know, they were doing it already. Okay, this princess Lee Tatisha, you're done. I'm getting rid of you, lady. You're not who you are. You've been blocked. Anybody calls himself Princess Letitia, or whoever they are, they like to cut in on shows and try to take my own show away from me. You would have no respect for other readers, none whatsoever. If I was able to find you, I'd go to your house, I'd have you arrested. I would. I'd have you arrested for witchcraft under the Witchcraft Act. It is active in Canada, and the Witchcraft Act still exists in the United States. So if you think you're going to get away with it, Princess Letitia, no, I can have you charged under the Witchcraft Act because what you've done is trying to take my work away from me. So I've taken care of it. So, anyways, like I said before, I wanted to share with you the story regarding what happened in Abbotsford and Chilliwack, and one of my very good friends, dear friends. And she was an artist. She was an absolutely fabulous artist. And I loved her dearly because we're like sister and brother, so to speak, and I knew her so well. And she warned me ahead of time. She says, Derek, I wouldn't put it past it if this actually will come out continuously, maybe years later. She made that prediction. And guess what, folks? They're trying to bring it out again. That we're going to have the bird flu in Canada. You watch for it. Because here's what these assholes will do. And I use that word once. What they'll do is they'll come to your door and ask you to give up your birds, even if they're domestic, even if they're parrots, and they want to put them down. Parakeets, they want to destroy everything that you own as a pet, because to them it's called bird flu. They showed up at my door years back after my friend had died. They came to my door asking me if I had any birds. And I said, if I did, I wouldn't tell you. And a lady friend of mine comes to the door right after those hazmat suit wearing idiots going from door to door wanting people to hand over their birds. This is actually in um, White Rock, okay, White Rock, Surrey. They're going around to every household wearing hazmat suits and want to destroy all your birds. They put them in a cage and spray them and kill them. That's it. Knowing, and they don't write nothing down. They just enjoy the pleasure and they look at each other with a big smile on their face. Got another one. Got another one. Got another one. That's what they said. And they're smiling with each other. Got another one. Right? So there was a lady up the street from us that actually had a chicken farm, or she had 99 chickens, so to speak. They went to her farm and they wanted her to destroy all of her chickens. They were going to come in and take her chickens and kill them all. And I said to her, well, I went along with them, but I walked further ahead because they're coming to her door. And I said to her, don't hand them over to them because they're not legal. They're just hired thugs to actually execute your birds because they do it specifically because they enjoy the pleasure doing it. Your birds are not even sick. So I said, are the birds foaming at the mouth? No. Are they any sneezes in their nasal passage, their beaks? No. Are they falling back with the eye, their heads like this? I said, no. And they don't have a bird flu because I know what domestic birds or poultry is all about because I used to raise chickens and turkeys on the farm. And I know all the diseases. A bird flu is a common freaking cold. Do you know how you fix that? Molasses. You give the bird molasses, vitamin C in their water. That's the version of bird flu. Okay. But they want to make you believe that the bird flu is like the C-19. Oh, it's dangerous. If you let that bird go to that person and he or she eats that bird, they're going to have C-19 too. Or they're going to poison themselves. No, they won't. I can guarantee you that. But anyways, I told those guys in the hazmat suits, I said, you guys ever come back here again, this is private property. If you come back ever again, there will be a gun waiting for you. And you will get shot in the ass running away. And the guy said to me, are you threatening my life? I said, no, I'm giving you a warning. Because by law here in Canada, if you trespass, we have the right to shoot. Because we're protecting our property. Do you know what the police told me? I asked them, I told them about the story, what was going on. You know what the police said to me? The RCMP? They said, shoot to kill. I'm not kidding you. They said, shoot to kill so then you don't have witnesses. That's what they told me. Are you nuts? No, that's the law. You don't wound them. You shoot to kill. I said, I'm not going to do that. Give them a warning. Is she still trying to get in? I thought I already bounced her. Princess Latia is trying to get in still. She's telling me to send her a friend request. Okay, well, if I see her again, she's been bounced. I already blocked her. What happens, what they do, Blair, is they actually will track you, whoever's on the list, and they try to find you. So if you do come across this Princess Letitia again, you can put a block on her too. I think this Princess Letitia is actually this is probably the gypsies. The gypsies are known to do this. And I will be honest with you, there's actually a family here in Vancouver. A lot of the gypsies have territories. And they like to steal people's readings. And they'll come on people's internet services and call themselves princesses or call themselves, very, very, or they'll say to you, oh, you have a black magic around you. Oh, you need to protect yourself. You pay me a couple $1,000, I'll pray for you for 3 days with candles. I'm the one that shows up at their house and gives them shit. They are really scared of me. They can't handle me. I'll tell you a story, a real one. There was a family called her name is Mrs. Dolores. Don't forget the name, Mrs. Dolores. She was well known in Vancouver. Both her and her daughter and her sisters, right? Her mom's sisters, and they're typical gypsies. And all they ever did was try to con people out of money and tell people there's black magic and, oh, you're cursed, the whole 9 yards. Okay, for a long time. And there was a big, huge psychic fair that was on at the Peony back in 2007. And how that came about was I was one of the mediums out of 8 of us that were asked to do a tour across Canada. We went to all the provinces. We went to 2 cities in each province to do our shows as mediums, just mediumship, right? Readings and that sort of thing. Not psychics, but mediums. We traveled across Canada, and what the last show was Mrs. Dolores when she decided to show up at the event. her and her daughter. Now, the girl that was working for Dawn Gibson, who actually puts on these shows, the girl's name is Ginger. Ginger was Dawn's assistant. Ginger's a lovely girl, right? I didn't know that she was the cousin to the Dolores family by the brother-in-law. I guess the brother-in-law or the something like that, something to do with her husband was related to that family. Anyways, they were very knowing of each other. But anyways, what happened was earlier years, back in 2003, 2004, I was doing a psychic fair, or not psychic fair, a friendship center. We were doing or selling our wares, and Mrs. Dolores' sister shows up, painted her body and her face to look like us, or like native looking, puts a native statue on the table, and she's doing palm readings for $10. The woman was horrible. Anyways, she got this girl, this couple, all worked up, broke her down in tears. And then she told the girl that if she told anybody after her reading that she'd be cursed forever again, forever, and then nothing will ever come true, and she'll lose the faith of her boyfriend and never have a future, no babies. This is how horrible it was. So I got a hold of a lady friend of mine that was actually taking care of the event in the Friendship Center. And I told Kat, I said, this is what she's doing. She's scaring the crap out of the people, and this is not, this is wrong. So Kat chased the woman out of the building, never to come back again. And in the meantime, we found out later that was Mrs. Dolores' sister. So moved the time ahead. Again, 2007, the psychic fair, this big, huge psychic healing fair was on at the PNE, Pacific National, Pacific National, wherever it goes to the big, huge PNE exhibition. So with big, huge arena we're set up nicely. Anyways, Ginger was stationing people in their booths, and she wanted me to go right next to Mrs. Dolores. So no, I'm not. Yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. Well, what's wrong with being next to Mrs. Dolores? I said, they're nothing but a bunch of con artists. See what I mean? I'm very abrupt and honest. I said, no. I said, her daughter and her sister are nothing but liars, and they just con people, and Mrs. Dolores does the same shit. I know all about it. I said, I got so many people I've actually talked to complained about them. So, meantime, Ginger, I said, I'd rather take that whole wall back there. You give me that piece of that wall way back there, out of the way, and I'll be happy. You want that wall? Nobody wants to go that wall. I said, put me over there, right that far. I'll go that far. Just put me there, and I'll be busy all weekend. Okay. So I'm heading that direction. What does Ginger do? She walks up to Mrs. Dolores, tells her what I said to her. I told Ginger the incident regarding the Friendship Center. And Mrs. Dolores says to me, aren't they over that yet? Aren't they over that yet? I heard this loud enough because I think Mrs. Dolores thinking she could be real Miss Mouth. Wow, you got my dander up, man. The Indian in me went up. And I said, I walked up to Ginger and Miss Dolores and her daughter. I said, I don't know who the hell you think you are. You think you're better than all of us here. I said, your daughter gave me a reading a couple years back, and she couldn't read me through a freaking paper bag. And when she tells me, oh, your brother died and you're so sad, and I said, my brother didn't die. I said, my brother died when he was 6 months old. I wasn't sad about he's gone. I knew he has passed away, but I'm over that since I was 2. So I said, I don't know why she's talking about. I said, your daughter can't read, you can't read. So wherever you're coming from, you know what I mean? So, but I'm going to give you a prediction. I'm going to give you 3 a prediction. All weekend, you're not going to get any readings. None. I don't care how you decorate your booth. You're not going to make no readings. You're not going to get nothing. And she goes, oh, are you going to put a curse on me? I said, no. Because my guides told me to tell you, for all the bullshit you've done to everybody for all these years, karma's going to be a bitch for you this weekend. So that was my prediction. I walked away from them, went to my booth, put up my Métis flag on the wall. That's all I did. A Métis flag on the wall, put a few things on my table. I was busy all weekend reading people. I mean, I was busy. I had no problems being found on the far wall because people knew who I am and I'm legitimate. They made the decision to walk up to me and see me. But this is a three-day event. Friday, Saturday. Now by round three-quarters of the way of Saturday, I can hear Mrs. Dolores yelling and screaming, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's coming to my booth. This is ridiculous. I spent $1,000 decorating my booth, putting all these angel statues and all this wonderful veils of beautiful stuff in my booth, because it's a 10 by 10 booth, my beautiful booth, and nobody's even come in and look at me. I didn't say a word. I was still busy doing readings. Sunday comes around, not even till 12 noon. Mrs. Dolores packed all her stuff up and left. Ginger walked up to me and she says, I don't know what you did to her, but you scared the living hell out of her. And I said, Ginger, I'm going to tell you this right now. You tell Mrs. Dolores and her family from me. If I hear of them doing harm to other people ever again, to clients that are coming from her, and they come to me and saying, this is what they've done, I'll come looking for them again. And I'll make sure she'll never work again. And she'll never be in business ever again. Because Spirit told me that. It must have happened because, and anytime I see Mrs. Dolores on the street, she makes a beeline the opposite side, downtown Vancouver. I'm not kidding you. Right? So this is not boastfulness. This is the truth. I tell people, you don't con somebody in their lives regarding bullshit. If you think you're going to get away with it, folks, anybody that tries to come in this room or anybody else's room, and you think you can say that you're princess this and princess that, you're not a princess of anything. The only thing that you call yourself princess, just keep on calling yourself princess, because it's all make believe for you. When you tell someone there's a curse in your family, that's the time you start pulling away. When someone tells you that there's something nasty behind you or blackness, that's time for you to walk away. If you already handed them money, you ask for that money back. And if they don't want to give it back to you, you make sure that you contact a person that you know bigger than you to come and collect it back. If you don't, you call the police. Because the police love the gypsies. They love the gypsies so much that they're willing to arrest them and put them behind bars. So I'm telling you, you don't mess with me. You don't mess with my friends. You don't mess with my clients. Because I come looking for you. I was brought in this world for a reason, to do good things, to help people, never to harm. You learn how to be respectful. You learn to be humble. You learn to give. People always offer to help. If you are down yourself one day, they're there for you because you've given for them earlier. So that's what life is all about. That's why we learn to become healers in this world. That's why I love doing this work. I give all my all for my everybody because I care. I may not have thousands upon thousands upon thousands followers on YouTube, or it's because Facebook and YouTube has restricted my, amount of people to follow me. As soon as I get a few thousand, they drop them back to 10 or 20. Did you know that? Yeah. They don't want me to have followers because I'm actually a threat. But when that day comes where Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I saw his video he said, I bought Twitter now. I paid $40 million, 40 some odd million dollars for it. I'm shutting Twitter down until he regroups again. It'll be a different name. He's making sure that nobody can take that away from him or from anyone again. Now, did he buy Twitter because he wanted to give back people the right and the rights to free speech, or did he shut it down because he wanted to? Elon Musk even was shut down, and there's even videos of him actually, guys showing him that they've re-signed the president, Donald Trump. They re-signed John Kennedy Jr. back in there again. They reassigned everybody back in again. Those that they were kicked out came back in. I'm not kidding you. They're all back in there again in Twitter. Because Musk now owns Twitter. Now you're protected. Now you're safe. You can say whatever you want. They can't kick you out. But Musk did say this. And these are his words. He says, now that I shut down Twitter, I bought it, shut it down. Next, coming up, Facebook. So, am I on Twitter? I was, but I was sick and tired of the bull crap that they kept cutting me out, wouldn't let me write what I want to write. I kept losing all of my friends that followed me. They were eliminating people from my own page. Same with Facebook. Okay, I have a True North Strong and Free page on Facebook. I know I had between 6,000 and 8,000 people as my followers, and Facebook went down, and they kept bringing me down more and more and more. So my numbers are getting even less than 1,000, and they're even lesser again, because if Facebook doesn't like what you write, they don't tell you what they don't agree with. No longer the standards. They just remove it. And then they'll say, oh, you must have taken it down. No, I didn't. And neither did the person that put it up there. They took it down. See what I mean? That's exactly what they like to do. They like to take away your toys. If they don't like you they don't like you to have something with that the wheels are bigger than the rest. When a person is a freedom fighter, a digital warrior, outspoken, and not afraid to say what they want to say or write what they want to write, they're calling it under certain standards. And they're saying, oh, you're going to harm someone. Harm who? Oh, my God, my words are going to cut right through you. You're going to die. Think about it. That's exactly what happens. That's why my chat rooms are getting smaller and smaller, because Facebook keeps warning me. The more I'm talking about this kind of stuff, the more I keep writing about this certain stuff, they just lower the entry. They actually have this ability to lower the entry of people. If someone says they have a hard time getting into the chat room, it's not my fault, because it's actually the companies that are doing it. They're preventing you from coming in. That's why I give people alternatives. If you can't find me on Facebook, you find me on YouTube, because I'm live on YouTube as well, or vice versa, right? Let's see here, Catherine. Okay, Dolores. Yeah, thank you guys. Wendy up in Australia. Catherine says the word is the government has 800 police officers coming to Canada for the bikers rally. Well, there's supposed to be over 100,000 bikers. Some are patch carriers, some are independents. Hang on, catch my hair. That's if my shirt lifts up high enough. I'm a rider, like my mother. Years ago when I was young, I had my Indian. And my mother, she rode, I got photographs of my mother. She had her own Harley. She had one with a suicide shift. And I got pictures of my mother riding her own bike, her own Harley. And she was with a club. She was a patch carrier. Um, she was proud of it. It's before I was born. So am I cocky about it? No. I'm proud of my mom for what she chose that time. I love being independent, not a patch carrier. So, because there are some guys out there that, like, I mean, I can talk about all my past and when I was younger, but I enjoyed riding. I just felt like the wind through my hair and whatever, like you just behind that, you're gone. And my biggest dream was to have myself a trike. I always wanted to get one. I never had a chance to put one together. I'm going to be seriously considering getting one, making one if not. And because I to get my wife on the back with me. Old Harley school. So yeah, my mother was was with a club called the Chosen Few. That was my mom up in Manitoba, and they were just regular people, just regular people. In fact, the man that she was supposed to marry before my dad, they both um, he crashed into a telephone pole. My mom was on the back of the bike with him. He crashed into a telephone pole, so he became brain dead. And there was my mom and my grandmother went to a psychic a couple years before the accident. This lady did a teacup reading for my mom and told her that she'll never marry the man that be riding on the motorcycle. They won't never marry that man. My mom goes, "Oh, you're crazy." He goes, "No, you never marry that man." Didn't say why. And so what happened was, a couple weeks after, my mom was on the back of the bike with her first boyfriend, her fiance, so to speak, and they wiped out in the ditch and crashed. And his head, there was no helmets back then, and boom, and he was brain dead, or a vegetable, so to speak. So no way she could marry him. So she had to walk away from him because he would have no memory of her. So she left, moved on. About 6 months later, she met my dad. In fact, the lady who was the teacup reader gave the two initials GW of my father that my mother's going to meet. And she did meet a man with GW. And then 6 months later, they married. So, but not the same lifestyle. My mom went from biker to, my dad was a lumberjack. So he worked in the forest, so the opposite of all that. But my mom for sure missed her bike. But I've got photographs of her riding her own Harley, um, and her outfit, which she wore. Like this is back in 1950s and 60s, 50s, 1950s, early 50s, before me. So pretty proud of my mom. Anyways, like I said before, I learned a lot through the years, and I got a lot of friends that are bikers, whether independents or if not, patch carriers. But the fact is, there are some good guys and some bad ones out there. All these guys that are bikers, they're riding up there for a reason. The police don't like them, whether you're a biker or not. They don't like people that are bikers because they think they're nothing but looking for trouble. They don't. A lot of the biking clubs have done a lot of good. They've done a lot of raising money for children, raising money for Christmas funds, homeless families with don't have much money. I think these guys have done phenomenal stuff, raising money for foundations. But they don't give them. You don't see it on the newspaper what they've done for people. And they'll do a bike run in the winter. So some pretty cool things. But again, from the truckers protest now, so now they're going to the bikers because it's summer, right? And it's going to be big, huge. I mean, if any of you guys ever been to Sturgeon, That's a big one. Okay. Sturgeon. Go to Sturgeon, right? If you've never been to one, go. The cops, they're so busy during Sturgeon. I'm not kidding you. It's one of the biggest turnouts ever. You ride for freedom. There's so much entertainment. There's so much things to do there. You can have a great time. You can either disrespect or respect. But Sturgeon is one of the biggest gatherings forever. So Sturgeon was the biggest bikers gathering. But going to Ottawa is bigger than Sturgeon. Okay, so expect it to be bigger than Sturgeon. So you're looking at about 100,000 or so that'll be showing up. Now, there's a fellow who's a retired police officer who came to Merritt, British Columbia here just a day or two ago, and they had a protest gathering down there. I watched a little bit of the video. Someone sent this to me. I forgot his name, but I wanted to share this with you. And he did say that, I'm sure that a lot of the leaders at the very beginning, some of them are actually arrested, put behind bars, and there's others that are behind the scenes, right? That are still funding, trying to get the truckers convoy still going. They're not giving up, guys. This is ongoing still. Like the mainstream media likes to silence the convoy, and it's not done. It's going to keep on going all the way through until this whole thing's over. No one's given up on Pat King. No one's ever given up on anybody else that's been involved regarding any of this. Let's see here. Let's see here. There's a I want to mention about this. Tamara Leach, she's to receive the George Jonas Freedom Award. She to be presented June the 16th by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Tamara Leach has been awarded the George Jonas Freedom Award for her part in organizing the Freedom Convoy Truckers protest that drew international attention for occupying Ottawa's downtown core in February. The Calgary Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, the JCCF, will present the award to Leach on June the 16th at the ceremony in Toronto, even though she's supposed to be banned from Toronto. National Post columnist Rex Murphy is slated to be the keynote speaker. George Jonas, 1935 to 2016, was a renowned Canadian author, poet, and columnist who wrote on the importance of freedoms. The award recognizes and honors one individual each year who has contributed significantly to advancing and preserving freedom in Canada. For leading the convoy, Leach was awarded on February 17th with mischief, counseling mischief, intimidation, counseling intimidation, counseling obstruction of police, and obstructing police. And I can tell you this right now, folks, none of this is true. None. The allegations have not been proven in court. Leach is initially denied bail, but that decision was reversed March 7th following the review. She was released on a $25,000 bond with conditions that not to protest COVID mandates or use any form of social media, and ordered to return to her home Medicine Hat and to stay there, not to leave Medicine Hat. Okay? Yeah, I don't think she will. Trust me. There are things about this girl. When you're Métis, we're sneaky. Okay? We'll just do the old Indian trick. And that's how it works, folks. Let's see what else is there. That's on that story. It was very, very short. This was actually in the National Post. When I saw it on National Post, I went, really? So they're sharing that story, saying that she's going to be in Toronto to receive this. But yeah, they told her she can't, right? Pat King's still in jail, but I'll tell you guys something you guys may not know. There are a lot of people in jail that you don't know. You only know is Tamara Leach, and you only know Pat King, but you don't realize there's far more protesters in prison that their names are not mentioned. Okay? You guys don't realize There's a good half dozen guys in prison too, besides those two. But because Leach and King are the speakers and telling people, stand up for yourselves. Don't be, don't let anybody intimidate you. Don't let them start to call you down and saying that you're a terrorist or giving you all these words. That's exactly what they were doing. They're trying to give you hope. Is it illegal to give someone hope? Is it illegal to tell someone, don't give up, don't quit? Is it illegal to tell someone that you can't say the word freedom? Guess what? It happened in Alberta. Premier Jason Kenney passed a law or a rule. If you ever are actually protesting on the street, you're taken to jail. If you ever yell the word freedom, you're taken to jail. They won't let you out. If you ever feed the homeless, you go to jail. If you stand up under God's name and name Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, you go to jail. You don't go to regular jail. You're not going to remand center. Jason Kenney takes you right directly to maximum prison. A life sentence prison. And he can't do that. It's illegal. This is Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. He did the same thing to Pastor Arthur Pawlowski. Put him in prison for more than 50 days. Treated him like as if he was a Auschwitz camp bad person. They treat him like that. This man lost so much weight, hardly got fed, starved him, beat the crap. Like, they did some major damage to this man. They tried to destroy his spirit. In fact, Premier Jason Kenney even placed an order to have the guards get the inmates to even go as far as to kill Pastor Arthur Pawlowski, to murder him. And for some reason, under God's eyes and God's wisdom and voice, he heard Pastor Pawlowski's words. And not one inmate harmed him. Not one guard harmed him. Even though they were told to put him into incarceration, they put him in a tin, hot, cold, square, steel box, naked. Steel box with a tiny window this big, naked. This man, in the winter, damn near froze to death in that steel box. He was ready to leave and die. You think our freaking country is so good to us? You think our premiers are so good to us? They're all bad boys and bad girls. Even the Calgary police went as far as abuse, beating up 12-year-old children, beating them up, beating the kids on the playground because they're telling the kids to get off the playground. Why? Because we don't want you here. And the kids refuse to leave. They start beating the kids with billy clubs. And then we're going to arrest the kids and take them to jail. 12-year-olds, 10 and 12-year-olds. Calgary, in Toronto, or in Calgary, in Alberta, in downtown. We've got a very corrupt government. Okay? This has been ongoing. You guys don't see that in mainstream media. You won't. You may not realize, none of you guys may not have realized, like I said before, everything was pre-planned. Even all the stickers that were shoved on the floor, stuck to the floor, okay, in those stores. Every time you walk in a store, it says, stand 6 feet apart. Stand here, stand here, stand here. Don't go here. Elevators, you name it, wherever you go, all these signs are everywhere. Those signs were made between 2 and 5 years previously. Made ordered by the government, and you got these printing companies to sign a silence, like basically they can't say nothing. They didn't ask the question why you're making these, but they knew, and they weren't supposed to say anything. And if any employee opened their mouth, they would arrest them. because there were employees that actually quit their job. They didn't like what they were doing. They didn't like it when they had an idea of what was going on. So the biggest contractor was in Ontario, and that's your Premier Doug Ford. He owned the biggest printing company ever in Ontario. That man made over $2 billion in stickers, platform stickers. He actually was making them up for about 5 years before all this actually was released. And you feel so sad for some of your premiers, you feel sad for some of your politicians. They're all in it together, guys. Like it's just a kangaroo. Now, some of you guys may think that, like I mentioned about Pat King. Pat's taken care of. There's Pat was placed there for a reason, to help you guys wake up. Pat's not your just typical guy. Yes, he's from Alberta. He's originally from Ontario. He's been doing his research. This guy is actually better than me. He was a journalist. He's traveled across the world. He was doing journalism against other types of wars. This guy traveled everywhere. But he's telling the stories. The government didn't like him doing that. So Pat King is just saying, you know what? Our country's being picked on. This is bullshit. So he decided to fight back. And he knew other people were on board about it, and they all decided to get together. You guys need to remember now, too, they created a board, okay? A government-controlled board. It's a real board. And this Freedom Convoy is a board. Not just gather together, we're going to go and protest. No, they made this legally. So then, basically, by some chance, if anything ever happens to them, the government can't even seize their money. Because what the money they're raising was for the truckers, right? There was no money in their bank account. Not by the hundreds of millions. There wasn't. There was nothing there. And yet the mainstream media said, "Oh yeah, we found millions." There was word there was in his account, her account. No, there wasn't. None. Because they want you to believe it. They want you to believe that Pat King and that Tamara was bad. No, they're not. Tamara never would have gone on board on the counts, but she was sick and tired of this bullshit, like everybody else, wanting our freedom. Canada was the most laziest country in the world, but also was the most evilest country in the world, and the most racist country in the world. That was proven. And the people that caused the racism was your politicians, because they created they created the word Black Lives Matter. They created the word white, whatever, authority, white privilege. The government said those words. We didn't. We never had white privilege. No one had any white privilege. That's just a word that was given by the government. The government made those words. The mainstream media made those words. Who gave it to the mainstream media? George Soros, his son. Let's call it white authority, white whatever. Okay? Yeah. She's getting an award. Tamara's getting an award. Because she was real. Tomorrow, even, for example, if Tamara was a bad person, if she was a bad person, and the RCMP told her to come towards her, okay, or towards them, and they said to her, okay, you're under arrest. Why? Just turn around, we're going to handcuff you. So she thought she'd be free within that night or next morning. And then there's new charges. That person who made sure she stayed in there is not Trudeau. That person is trying to say that she made her stay there is Queen Ramana. Because Ramana Didulo, she's the one that said she wants to see them all stay in prison forever. And she's labeling Leach and King as terrorists. Do you know who I call a terrorist? The one that's running around Canada trying to burn our flag, and got a big mouth, doesn't want to shut up. You think about it, folks. If she says, if the doula says that she's got authority over the government, that she tells the government what to do, and if she's saying that Leach should be doing life in prison and that King should do life in prison, anybody else is actually part of it, and anybody that protests, she's calling every protester terrorists. Do you know that? Because she did. She's telling, go home, go home, go home. Those are her words. Go home. You don't have to be here anymore. Go home. Why? You're a Filipino. You're not born here. If you don't like it, you go home where you're from. Canada is not the Philippines. Never was and never will be. Everyone has their own lifestyle here. I have nothing against Filipinos, none whatsoever. But you don't tell me how to run my own country. You don't tell me how to live my life. You don't tell me how to live my freedom. None. And she calls herself a queen? I'm sorry. I don't care if you think, whether you say, oh, Trump did not bring me here to take care of Canada. I made my own decision. I am the one. I told him I was coming here. And then she turned around and said, Trump's not even here. He's been gone a long time. He says, Trump's dead. I am the leader. I'm going to be leader of the United States. I'm going to be leader of the world. I am the queen. I'm queen of everything. I thought, oh man, here we go. Put a tutu on her and here we go. Think about it, guys. Now she's running around with 2 or 3 buses, trying to see if she can get some more gas and trying to get people to believe her. Really? So I know very well the duel is going to try and come back and do the same shit again with the bikers. Oh, you watch. Watch. She can try and do the same thing to the bikers. But she'll probably try and burn another flag again. And then what? What are you going to gain out of it? Sure, if you're saying our flag is a corporation flag, fine. Maybe down the road we will decide to do some changes in it. Because right now our country is no longer a corporation, so eventually we may end up doing some adjustments. Fine. Right? But really, you had to go as far as trying to burn a flag. I've been told when I was a kid growing up, my uncle told me and my father told me, anybody who ever burns their own national flag, it is a federal military offense. You could be arrested and do life in prison yourself. Did you know that? Oh, you don't know that. Oh, well, I'm the queen. I have the say in the matter. The military has to do what I tell them. Right. We'll see. I don't see no armed forces following you. I don't see no armored trucks, no cannons, no tanks. Really. All I see is just a bus that full of people that all I see is a bunch of people eating Chinese food in a bus. She's calling herself a leader, wearing a tutu. You know, every week I try to talk about new things. You know, I want to let you know. And again, those are actually late coming in the chat room. Please watch the beginning of the program. It's worth your while to know some of the stories, what's been going on, because I find it's very vitally important. There are some people right now trying to start rumors that Donald Trump is not alive, that he's been dead for a year and a half. There's rumors starting that he's not coming back, and some people are trying to create a rumor. And then I'm getting stories that JFK Jr. saying that Trump is returning. You see, the thing is that most people may not realize if Trump really did pass away, if he did have cancer, supposed to have passed away, then how come the med beds didn't do the job? Because med beds are actually supposed to be the healing element to cure all illnesses. Why didn't Trump use the med bed? Think about it. And yet I see this man every day, brand new speeches, not old speeches, brand new speeches, and he's just giving her red tie and all. So this is getting to be old hash, old news. This is getting to be yes, no, yes, no. And there are people getting impatient. They're saying, this is getting to be old news. And sure, we talk about the Ukraine and Russia. I've never heard so many people now hate Russia so badly that someone said they should be nuked. I've heard those words too often. I need to give you guys a bit of a wake-up call. Many people have relatives from Russia that live in Russia. They were born here. And why would you want to nuke a country that you have relatives are from there? Putin's not the bad guy. If Putin really wanted to wipe out the Ukraine, he could have done it long ago. But why would he wipe out the Ukraine when it never signed over its staple of being what it is? It never signed over back in 1985 to have its own independent country. It never was independent because it never got signed because they would lose money. So, according to the Russian international laws, Russia still owns Ukraine because everybody's speaking pretty well the same language, Russian in the Ukraine. All the Ukrainians are speaking Russian. Now, if you look at your Ukraine soldiers look at the logos on their uniforms, on their armbands, and on the front of the lapels, and you'll see on the armbands are the labels of the Nazi symbols. Nazi, get it? Nazi symbols. And the front is the SS of the Auschwitz SS. These are Nazi soldiers. Exactly what Pastor Pawlowski kept on telling you. The Ukraine are Nazi soldiers. They are trying to bring back the Fourth Reich. The reason why Putin went after the Ukraine, because they found under the dumps in these buildings underground nuclear bombs. Okay. They went after them to stop the nuclear bombs to be used. This was supposed to be the beginning of the Third World War. It was the Ukraine that was going to start the war and blame Russia. Did you know that? That's how it was supposed to get started. But guess who actually was running the thing? Guess who's running those posts in the Ukraine? Guess who has the money that's financially backing it? BIDEN. That's who's backing it. Both father and son. Check it out. Because they always say you can never make any money unless you create a war. And they're trying to create a war. Spirit told me many, many years ago, and this is long before this, Spirit told me many, many years ago that there was supposed to be a Third World War, that China would come on board and actually we would have a Third World War with Russia. But they said it's also under the guise of Russia or the fake Russians, and that is Ukraine. I knew this since 1978. And I thought, nah. As a kid, you're growing up going, nah. It's crazy. Look at our country. We're all having fun. We're all living a life. And I'm thinking about all this stuff and went, holy crap, man. That's true. This actually has been predicted. It was actually made. It was supposed to happen. In 1984 was supposed to be the original World War III. But a time machine was used to prevent it from happening. Okay. JFK Jr. and Trump were involved to stop it from happening. They changed it. They had to. I've seen photographs of Trump going as far back as the early 1800s. They changed history. Right? They had to better it. Sure, there's some snags in some of it, but it was supposed to go. But if they didn't go back in time, it's called Operation Looking Glass. If that didn't happen, that wasn't taken care of. I mean, sure, like I said before, I tell people, sure, the deep state got a hold of Operation Looking Glass. They were going to try to do the same thing. They're going to change it up to make it where it has to be a war and create a new world order. But there was always a wall that they couldn't go any further. Why? Because because Trump and JFK Jr. were in the way. They were there ahead of time to block them, and they knew it. They just didn't know how to get by them. We've already won. We're just finishing off what was going on. We've already won. This is just little bits and pieces to see how far the mainstream media can actually scare people more. That's all it is. Scare tactics. Canada will get its life back with the way you always wanted, but it's not going to be the same. Like I said before, all your politicians are not going to be running this country anymore. It's going to be all done differently, but it'll be better. It'll be better for all of us. We need martial law. We need military law. So no one tells us, no corporation tells us how to live our lives. We're supposed to have voted these officials to represent us. Okay? Think about it. When you vote for Trudeau or you vote for whoever you want to vote for, this was all to do with trusting them to help you. But guess what? Your votes didn't mean nothing to them. Because through all these years, all these politicians have never been voted in. They were placed in there. They've already been playing with the voting machines for years. It was the Rothschilds that placed them in there. The Rothschilds placed Harper when he was a prime minister. They placed him in there and had him there for 10 years. Then they came and brought in Trudeau until he was old enough to stop being a little girl. Well, he's still a little girl. But he got himself in trouble. There were so many stories about Trudeau being at the piggy ranch, right? In Maple Ridge, where Robert Picton. All these girls went missing. Trudeau was there. I'm one of the investigators that helped the police trace some of these people. The girls went missing. This case is bigger than all of us. It's not something that's simple and okay, we'll get it over with, we're happy. No. You guys don't realize there's over 15,000 people who went missing in that farm. 15,000. Not just Indigenous women, children. They've taken to that farm and shipped out on containers on Evergreen, which is owned by Bill and Hillary Clinton. And they were at that piggy ranch. Like I said, folks, this is not your typical story. This is bigger than all of us. There's more to it. So I've always made predictions about telling people what's going to happen next. And I'm always making predictions. I already know what's going to happen with some things. But again, some things can get changed. But I will say this. See, the thing is that They say, yeah, Trudy wants to destroy the evidence. Number one, the SNC Lavalin, the WE. Trudeau says, and I remember he got cocky cocky in Congress. I watched him in the cabinet, not Congress, in cabinet. He got cocky. Says, you can't touch me. I'm the prime minister. And I thought, oh, buddy, they did catch you. The real you. You're gone. You're just playing the role. Don't forget, the real Trudy has already been taken out in 2019. He's gone. So is his wife. She's gone. Daughter of Hitler. Okay. Or sorry, granddaughter of Hitler. You don't understand, guys. This is just a play. This is a movie. Go with it. Let it ride for a while. You know. And there are people, like I said, there's people in there saying, when's it gonna be over? Come on, let's get this. It's not my fault. Anytime that anything gets dragged out, it's because they're still rescuing more kids. It has nothing to do with, okay, here's what we're gonna do. They're trying to still clean up. Now, I will tell you this, what I was sent. Let's see here. I'll get rid of that one. Bring this one. Where is it? My voice is slowly coming back. I've been without my voice for a week, over a week. Okay. If you get a chance to go on True North Strong or Free on my page on Telegram, do it. Some of you are saying, oh, I'm not going to do Telegram because I want my phone number. Do it. Okay? Because when Facebook's gone, where are you going to go? So, pardon me. Trudeau did a story. He says Trudeau is excited to push his agenda on the kids. He wants the 5-year-olds now all to be jabbed. He already started the video. He wants all the 5-year-olds jabbed now. This is exciting. You need to get your jab now. This is exciting, he says. Really? This is exciting. Go get your jab. Right. He's like a little child under the table. Have a look at the video. Let's see here. Guy's name is Marcus Ray up in Merritt, BC. He was the one that was doing the video. If you can't find him, again, go to my page. If you want to get his video, I'll send it to you. And also, now you want to get a hold of Jason Q. The guy's name is Jason Q. And he's got a page on Rumble. Type in Jason Q. Jason with a letter Q. JASON. And it'll be worth your while to find out what's really going on. Okay. Yes, you can get Telegram. You're just not making it. You're not making an attempt to do it. It's easy to do. You worry about Telegram taking over your phone. Why you just put your damn phone number in there? That's all you got to do. It's free. It doesn't cost you nothing. Oh, announcement. Texas court rules FB can be held liable for sex trafficking on platform. Okay. You guys got the story. Because they have been sex trafficking on Facebook for the long, I don't know how many times, for how many years. I kept on saying, why are you guys shoving these women from other countries on us? You know, this is not wanting a boyfriend, girlfriend. This is sex trafficking. Putin finds of children trafficking victims. There's a story about that as well. It'd be worth your while to look. They found hundreds of thousands of kids that were mass buried up in the Ukraine. They were used for experiments. Where is the other one? Now they just said Kamala Harris tests positive for COVID. Quadruple vaccinated VP is forced to isolate after trip to California. Ooh. So if she tests a positive, that means that they confessed and taking a deal. Their EXECUTAION will be out of the public eye. They'd be portrayed as a possibly a suicide or some sort of accidental death. Mm. Their reputation and legacy may be preserved. Now you know. I feel like what's her name? Oh, I haven't seen her in a long time because she passed away. Supposed passed away. Now you know. I still enjoy watching her. She exposed a lot of people. Let's see here. What else we got here? I want to tell you. Before I forget. um, what am I missing, Derek? Where'd you go? Let's see here. One. No, that's not it. This one here. Yeah. I had it here. I was going to set it aside to be you to talk about it, but I don't remember his now. Oh yeah. Um, I'm not gonna talk about. I'm not gonna talk about Didill anymore. She's a waste of my energy. She's just nothing but a. However you want to say her name is just a waste of time. Oh, is that correct? No. Where is me here? Now let's see here. One more thing. Oh yes. Years. I would say when I work on the reservations, and was working in an area of Sucker Creek in northern Alberta, and I was spending some time with with a family there, and there was a bunch of kids that were cousins of, and they're gathering. There must be about 8 or 10 kids. I'm known to do a lot of passive aggressions with kids or with people, and the kids are so. And there was a young girl that was there, and she wanted to do a passive aggression, and she was 13, 14 years old. Her mom was there to give permission to say she can, because her mother, her daughter was dealing with some fearful things about her having to see visions and get visions. So she wanted to find out why she's getting all these things. And it happens to kids all the time. So um, we did a passive regression. She saw herself go back in time. She saw herself in a fire that she was executed as a witch on a around this tree. It wasn't a post; it was a tree, and they were going to burn her with the tree. And this was part of somewhere in Europe. And it was over a man, young love. And then if he couldn't get her, basically what he had done really was got the and he couldn't have her, so he got the whole town believing that she was a witch, so they killed her. So her gifts were wanting to come forward, but in the meantime, she was afraid to say, well, what happens now? And now, like her past life was saying, like, I'm afraid now. What if I get accused of what I'm going to have? If I get accused about this again, am I going to get burned again? I said, no, you won't. You're innocent back then. You don't have to be afraid anymore. No one's going to judge you for what the gifts you're given. But what you need to do is forgive the people that harmed you back then that did not know better. So she did during her vision. She gave them um, forgiveness, and then she felt better. She said her light and herself felt so white, pure, like she felt so uplifted. She felt really good. And the kids are watching this, right? I just told the kids, like, don't say nothing, just watch. This is a whole room full of people watching all this. So they were like the kids were just into it, like I said, between 12 and 14. One of the boys was so interested in this, and he says, "I don't want to see my past life. I want to see the future. Can you show me the future?" I said, "I can show you the future." So we took him ahead of time, and we took him ahead of time between around 50 years from now, like in between, yeah, 25 and 50 years. He saw himself in the sky in it looked like a spaceship. They took him to Mars, and then he was a pilot working on Mars. Now, he was describing what the plane or the ship looked like going up there, and not your typical rocket ship with a long tail, the whole 9 yards. It was a round ship. This guy up there, and that was his job. He was just sitting next to someone else. Didn't mention his name. And he was probably at the time, he was probably in his early to mid 30s as a pilot. So now he's saying all this, and this is again, this is a 14-year-old saying this. Now he's in his mid to late 30s, and he was describing his trip to Mars. He was going to Mars, and I said to him, I said, "Do you believe that you're going to go to Mars?" "Yes." "Is it occupied? Is there a base there?" "Yes, there is." I said, "How many people are on Mars?" "Millions." "Lots of people, like civilians of Earth?" "Oh yes, lots, and other people from other planets." "Oh, okay, cool." So we're going along with it. We left. I didn't go any further with it. I said, "Okay, we're going to bring you back to this time now today." And he opened his eyes and he said, "I saw." I told him, I said, "I want you to remember everything." So what this did for him is to help him make his decision if he wants to be a pilot or not. But he's a special flight pilot, not flying in the sky all the time on Earth. He's going to fly to another planet. Now, I read him 10 years ago. Okay. Today, they're talking about SpaceX and where SpaceX goes to Mars. And I've been informed that there's over 1.5 million plus more people on Mars. Guess what, folks? It's going to happen. This little boy is going to grow up or a little man now, growing up, and he will have the opportunity to become a pilot. And he'll decide to fly to Mars if he so chooses. That'll be his career. Like I said, it's mid to late 30s. So it's all going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So I'm telling you, your future does not tell you it's not going to happen. Your future shows you that could happen if this is what you want, whatever type of job you're doing, whatever how you want to lead your life. That's how it works. Because he saw this for himself, and he believed in it. But he said it felt so real. He wasn't going back in time again, but he described even the names. I remember him saying spacecraft X, space X. He even knew about this 10 years ago. The kid was telling me spacecraft X. Well, now we understand SpaceX, which actually this is Trump's new force. Just think about this, guys. It's already been predicted. It's already been in place. Um, you will, Wendy. I'll tell you, you'll have a chance to go to Mars. Okay, let's talk about some people in the chat room. Catherine, Derek, I can hear you well. Thank you very much. Afternoon, everyone. The word is government. Okay, go past that one there. Travis, Gary McKinnon was a British hacker who hacked NASA and DIA for 6 years. The documents he saw blew his mind. It's true. The most delusional, they still think the residential school kids are forgotten graves. When in reality, it's a crime scene. It is a crime scene. Okay, it's an absolute crime scene, folks. These aren't forgotten graves. These are crime scenes, and people are. Here's something I will say. This is my own point of view. If you don't like it, that's fine. But this is my point of view. I'm going to talk about residential schools, and I normally don't, because on this show like this, I normally don't say that. But you know what? I have to say it, because in my other show, I would never have a chance to say it. The most, I would say, it's understandable. People really wanted to go to meet the Pope in Italy to get the apology. But the craziest part is not because they had to go to Italy to go see the Pope and get the apology, because the Pope said he was not going to give you an apology. He still didn't. The Pope never gave anybody an apology. If you listen to his talk, his speech, that was not the Pope. That was a man wearing a mask to look like the Pope. That was not the Pope, because the real Pope used to speak English too. This one was not speaking English. He was speaking Italian. Okay. He was also, the Pope was wearing black polished military boots. And so were the cardinals. Did you guys notice those boots? Nobody freaking noticed the boots unless you know exactly what's going on. All those cardinals and the Pope, they're military, undercover to pretend that they're cardinals and the Pope. They're all wearing military boots. I know, because my dad had the very same kind. The Pope would never wear military boots. He wears slippers or the red shoes. Think about it. Another thing, that was something else that he did. I was very unhappy about that these guys had done. Sure, you ask for an apology from the Pope. This is over 150 plus years of torture and death and murder to all these kids that went missing and died. But the public, the people that are there wanting the apology, gave the gifts, gave the Pope gifts. Why? They murdered your freaking relatives through 4 or 5 generations, and you gave them a gift asking them for an apology. Are you freaking kidding me? Am I dumbass, blind, stupid? They didn't deserve a thing. Not one red iota. They would take it, the red iota. But think about it, guys. It was a setup. You guys were set up because everybody kept on demanding, I want to see the Pope, I want to see the Pope. So they provided you a Pope in a mask. And you didn't pay attention. He flung his leg over the side of the chair, and he's saying his prayers. Or not saying his prayers, saying his apology. He threw his leg over the side of the chair. That was another sign. Like, he didn't give a shit. That was being cocky back to you. Oh, no, but you wouldn't listen to that, right? Pay attention to your stories. Pay attention to what they're doing. These guys had no intention to apologize to you, because there's going to be a day that you'll see the truth. When that trial does happen, okay, and it was going to happen, when the martial law comes in, there's going to be that whole tribunal. And when they start seeing the Pope walking in wearing chains and handcuffs, and the cardinals, and they're being charged for execution for all they've done, not because of the burial of the kids, because of all the children that they actually were eating as a food, wearing them on their body, on their feet, sacrificing them. And you guys wanted to give them a gift. Thank you so much. Oh, here's a gift. But you apologized. That's what Canadians are like. We're always apologizing, even if we already know that they did wrong. Think about it, guys. Does that make any sense? I'd love to go to Mars. If I had my opportunity, I'd like to go to Venus, which I think I will, because Venus actually is a planet to visit as well, right? It's occupied. Mars, Venus, Moon. I want to go to the Moon. There's a few, right? What else is there I want to talk about? Anything else? Okay. If you guys have any questions you want to ask, feel free to call. The phone number is available now. If you want to give a call, 360-566-2875. I'm going to turn this Skype on. There it is. Skype's on. Skype is on. You guys calling? You're more than welcome to call and ask questions. 360-566-2875. Love to hear from you. If nobody phones in tonight, that's fine because of my voice. Okay, with all the children that have been killed, how could we possibly be overpopulated? You're right. How can we be? Number one, Canada is the second largest country in the world. Okay. Now, you want to talk about overpopulation? Yes. The overpopulation is big, really huge in England, but they're still providing space. England is, here's one for you. See this little pinhead here? Okay, little tiny pinhead. Call that England. You see this? That's Canada. G. England, Canada. Hardly 3/4 of the amount of land has been occupied yet. It's still unchecked. Nobody has ever traveled across. You'll see the lineup of our provinces. But all above that, you don't see anything. Like all that's never been explored yet. Okay? Parts of it down below has never been explored. A lot of our provinces have not been explored. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Eastern Coast, hardly been explored. British Columbia, hardly been explored. A lot of our lands have not been hardly explored. There's so many villages in British Columbia. Area code 780.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ed?
Yes.
Yes. Greetings. Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just listening to the show and figured I'd call in and just give a little bit of talk. Yeah, like there's so much of our Earth that hasn't been explored, and actually a lot of discoveries too about some of the volcanic areas of our regions and the more colder spots of our Earth too, like with life thriving there, microbacterial life.
Yeah.
So just like I said, there's life out there all throughout the cosmos.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, for us to find all these stuff, throughout the years, and then like I said, in the most volcanic of places are right to the most radioactive, still microbacteria eating away at some of these radioactive material.
Yep. One thing I noticed too, this is Travis, right?
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I noticed too, Travis, is in the eastern region of Canada, there's, for example, let's use Fort McMurray as an example. Fort McMurray was actually explored. They destroyed a lot of the area of Fort McMurray because of the oil sands, and that used to belong to a specific tribe in that area, First Nations Cree people, and they took all that land away from them so they could put in a oil patch, or not an oil patch, basically oil sands. But they destroyed so much of the forestry that even the people who live in the region cannot even survive there, not even the deer, no wildlife, no nothing. And then a couple years later, Fort McMurray goes on fire. Gee, I wonder why. Because of the vapors, folks. The vapor was so strong that the city came on fire. And there's only one exit out the city. And there were people that perished, that did die. But the government's not supposed to tell you who, if anybody did die. They did die. There were people that did die in that town, in that fire. And did Trudeau do anything about it? No. You know why? He told the fire department to stand down. Now, why did he tell the fire department to stand down? Because he wanted it to burn to the ground, so then Fort McMurray can move on, so they can put an underground city under Fort McMurray. This is all planned. This is like, people realize that certain places that have been used specifically for anything that when you start seeing suspicious things like fire, oil sand, or whatever have you, that means there's something going on under the ground, that they're making sure that you don't come anywhere near that area, so they can actually abuse the public. So there are underground, that's why they call the DUMBs, the deep underground military tunnels or bases. And these were not built by a regular military. These are bad people. They're like a military. So they got busted too. They took care of them, took them out. But again, that's been going on for a long, long time, not just something overnight. So anytime you ever hear of a fire, of a town burning down, like a whole town, that's all planned. It was never an accident. It's all been planned. So
also, too, all the videos for the booms, the mysterious booms, are being heard like since 2016. Like,
yep.
People have been hearing these booms all under the ground, all over across America, down, yep. Some down in Brazil, and because these locations of these DUMBs are all across the whole globe, like, and this network of evil has its pockets in pretty much the I guess the corners of the earth, they like to put it.
Yep. And again, also too, Trevor or Travis, is because you're also doing too, my friend, is that there's a map that was sent to me from all of these poultry plants all across Canada, United States, that they all burnt at the same time. They got burned down. Gee, I wonder who burnt them down. And they're saying, oh, there's a food shortage of birds. Oh, now we have a bird flu. The bird flu came out after. Like, no, they're trying to create a food shortage to scare the people. So I tell people, be careful what you believe. Do your research. Check and see, because they're trying to create a food. Why do you think the East Indians, South Asians, the farmers will say, like, no food, no farmers, or no farmers, no foods? Because Bill Gates was trying to buy out all the land out from under the East Indian farmers, including in India. He owned 80% of the land so he can make it genetically modified. Meantime, he's telling those farmers that I'll give you extra money for the food, but I want you to destroy the food and don't even give it away to anybody. That's called food shortage.
Yeah, and they're even trying to. It's a war on seeds out there too. Like Monsanto is destroying those fields and making sure those seeds don't get out, so people don't have their own seeds to grow. Exactly. They put patents on certain I should say some of their natural native seeds out there, and they're they're trying to protect them out there. It's like a war for the seeds in India.
Yep, and also in Saskatchewan, there were a lot of Saskatchewan farmers that had their own wheat, corn, you name it. And when Monsanto came out back in 2010 or 12, they actually sued all the farmers. They actually sued all the farmers and ended up seizing their property, because Monsanto set up a piece of land that was theirs, and they spread the seeds in the air to the farmers to make sure the farmers so once that piece of the seed of the Monsanto lands on their farm, Monsanto had the right to take their farm away from them. So the farmers lost their land. They lost everything. So this is Bill Gates' company. And the company itself is actually, Monsanto folks actually is still a pesticide business. So anything genetically modified is all based on destroying your immune system. That's what this is. Changing the seeds is to destroy your immune system. So if I were you, folks, try as much you can not to buy things that relates to um, GMOs. If it says anything in there about GMO, get out of it. Stay away from it. If it says monosodium glutamate, don't touch it. If it says glyphosate, get away from it. Billy says, are the chemtrails still going? PC was said that the white hats are cleaning the air and doing the chemtrail poisoning about the water. Yeah, they're cleaning. They actually, what I would say, the last couple of years, our skies have been cleaned. You'll see chemtrails, yes, but not the bad ones. All the good chemtrails are the bad chemtrails are gone. Trump's people are actually have gone out there and they've actually been cleaning the skies. I can tell the difference because before I used to go outside, or people used to notice as they went outside, their trees would start dying. There's no sign of gray powder on the trees, which basically the trees would end up dying. Now we have trees that are growing. What also the government's doing, what Trump's people are doing, pardon me, they're spraying the skies with seeds, tree seeds, flower seeds, and it's landing in different places. So it's really getting pretty cool, right? If you wonder why I'm coughing so much, it's because I'm just getting over my pneumonia. I have walking pneumonia, um, so I get the odd time I catch my breath because it's dry in my office. Um, but again, that's what I'm pointing out, that we're doing a better now than ever before, and they're talking about the water. Yeah, I recommend for you to do right now. A lot of our water right now has been used as a chlorinated water, or they also put fluoride in it, which is also not good for you. So I recommend people to actually get yourself filters, a water filtered system of some sort, or water jugs and with a filtration system. And when you use your tap water, filter it first before you drink it, and knows a big difference. Better for you. So you're not going to get the fluoride, and you're not going to get the nasty chemical. But eventually down the road, our pardon me, our water will improve.
What's your thoughts on the EMF radiation blocking tubes and T-shirts and stuff that they're coming out with, the hoods and the hats? Did you hear about any of that? Did you see any of that?
Yeah, there's actually what the company. It was actually based mostly out of China. China is actually manufacturing clothing that has a chemical in there that's so potent when the body sweat starts to seep from your body to the clothing and cause skin cancer. They're using a chemical, cancer-causing chemical to make these products, to make these clothing. So now that's going to be stopped right now. The company called Joe, which is based out of India, they'll be shutting them down or changing their factory attitude. Um, there's a few companies. They're going to end up they'll be doing some major thoroughly checking on, what are you using to manufacture clothing? What are you using to manufacture foods? And they're making some major changes because eventually down the road, what's going to happen, folks? All of our pharmaceuticals too will be also taken out completely. Like they won't be in existence whatsoever. We'll be turning to naturopathic stores. Like those will come into fruition. And I would say the next couple of years for sure. And it will be to the point where your main doctor will be turning to a naturopath. Your main your main your main medicine will be in a naturopathic store. All your herbal stores will be the major centers to buy what you need to help your health. So it's going to be all changed around with a matter of a couple of years, not 5, 10, 20 years, less than a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I was also just going to say too. Speaking of changes in transportation, they just designed a new catapult system to launch rockets in the air because evidently using gasoline and all the other rocket burning fuel is just costly and just, bad for the environment. So just why not catapult the rocket in the air and have it blast off into space once it's already floating in the atmosphere, right? Stratosphere. So that's kind of a cool thing and advancement there. So
yeah, that idea came. They actually were practicing using those catapults for rockets, so then they could put the bad guy, the elite, on the end of the catapult and shoot them off in the sky. So the bad guy is going to the end of a catapult and just catapult them out. Did you get it?
Oh,
Travis?
really?
Did you get it, Travis? It's a joke. Catapult the elite bad guy. Yeah, put him on the end of the catapult, shoot him off. No, there are rockets you don't even have to use to catapult. We'll be using a lot more spaceships and there's no gasoline. It's all generated, and it'll be all to do with Tesla design, because Tesla actually is originally from Jupiter, so it'll all be based on Tesla design. So
that makes sense. Right? Yeah.
There is a lot. Again, our lifestyles are different. Some people say, "Well, I'm not going to give up my truck because I love the car. I love my gasoline car." Well, no one's saying that you have to give up your gasoline car, or truck. What they're going to do is probably get you to do some conversions. We're changing from possibly down the road from gasoline to electric vehicle, but you'll always have an extra tank in case you need fuel. So they're not going to take gasoline off the market and not take oil off the market, because the oil is Mother Earth's veins. It's not being harmed. We're not taking anything from Mother Earth that's going to harm us. Never was, but we were taught to believe that, and that is really, really bad, but it's not. So everybody will begin to be re-educated to see the truth, because we're not really taking fossil fuel out of the ground. Nothing is fossil fuel. That's the Rothschilds and the J.P. Morgan that called it a fossil fuel, so then he can actually put that fuel on the market under government law, that you can only burn fossil fuel in your vehicle, and they call it safe. But if you burnt an alcohol type fuel, which basically they're not going to tell you that's potatoes, but if you make your own oil, which is out of vegetables, you can do that to a fuel and your vehicle. But they don't. The J.P. Morgans were not making money. The Rothschilds weren't making money on that, so they had to use the word fossil fuel. They created the word fossil fuel, gasoline from the earth, and they pulled the oil out of the earth, and yet that's very normal, because many times the oil will come to the surface even without having to drill for it. So, and a lot of First Nations people would find oil patches, not drawn by any oil rig. It was just there, and they call it poison water. It's been there it comes to the surface and many times, but people realize you can use that, create a fire of your own, and burn lamps and make your own fires. So that was put there for one reason, was to survive with it. Never a bad thing. It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much, Travis, for calling in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the call. Wonderful show. Thanks, Derek. And take care, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a wonderful night.
Take care, my friend. My voice is getting really, really hoarse, so I'm gonna call it a night, guys. If you guys need to get a hold of me, if you want to make an appointment to get a reading, you're more welcome to. I have a website called whiteskycloud.com. If you want to make an appointment, go on my website or call the number. I have a Facebook page, Derek White Sky Cloud, and also I have 2 pages on one on Facebook as well as on Telegram, which is True North Strong and Free. It's called True North Strong and Free. And if you ever and again, as much as possible, please like and subscribe me on YouTube as much as you possibly can. Let your friends know. Share this to everybody as much as you can, so that we get more people to wake up and open their eyes. Because even right now, I've been hearing from people that even the people I know, which are the parents, they're listening to this program, but they try to tell us to the kids, here's what's really happening, and the kids are going, Mom, Dad, you're crazy. So, again, please share this as much as you can. And before I call it a night, yes, my wife is doing a little bit better. She's actually on cancer pills. These are 2 that she takes per day. So right now she's going to stay on that for a while, but she's getting a lot better and improving day by day. There are some side effects to it when she uses these, but these are all meant to actually to go after the white blood cells so they won't keep attacking her blood all the time. But again, each day is better for her than it was before. I almost lost her about a couple of weeks ago. We had to take her to emergency at one time, and I remember seeing her that night when I was stood by her bedside looking at her this way, and she was up against like this at an angle, and she could barely breathe. And I had to call the nurse. People come in and give her oxygen because she could barely breathe. I remember standing there watching by the bedside, and I got seeing my wife. Her spirit left her body. She was standing next to herself, looking at herself, looking at me, and then looking above me. It's like as if she was going to make a decision whether she was going to stay or go. And then she looked back down to herself, and then she came back again. Once the lady came in, the nurse came in and gave her oxygen. So my wife said that something happened to her that night. She became so sensitive to spirit world. Now I told my wife, I said, because spirit told me to tell you that you have a gift. Now it's coming back, it's come out, and now she's more sensitive. And she'll tell you about it if you ever want to ask her. Just ask her on make her a friend on Facebook too. Talk to her. Anyways, guys, thank you very much, and I hope you guys don't mind to tolerate. You had to tolerate that gypsy in there tried to steal my readings. Okay, take care, guys, and love you lots. May God be with you all, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Hopefully, my voice will be gone. I mean, better, not gone. It will be better. It'll improve. We'll have plenty to talk about next week. One more thing. One more. Where'd I put it? Wait, Derek, where'd you put it? What did you save it in there? It is where. Quickly take a look. Is it there? No, it's not. Darn. Oh, it's on my page. Hang on. Let me check. Where did I put it? Did I place it? It's there. Yes, here it is. Okay. One more thing to be aware of before you guys call it a night. April the 30th, 2022. Okay. Solar eclipse, black moon. Listen carefully. Solar eclipse, black moon, April 30th, 2022. It's called the Night of the Awakening People. Okay. These are the symptoms. Rare cosmic event, powerful wish-granting portal, heightened financial opportunities. Veil to the other side is very thin. And I did say this a couple years back, that the veil is going to open up very thin because you start communicating with people and passed away. Carries the power of 100 new moons, liberation for all that is holding you back, and soul mate connections. Go to my page, you'll see it. Derek White Sky Cloud. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for joining me on the program. I had a lot of fun being with you guys, and it's going to go out with my song again. Be good to each other. Peace.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world, we're all alike. So why is the war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we gotta learn to live together. peace. Make peace. Make peace. Peace. Alright. Isn't it time for us to stop time? Isn't it time mother stop crying? Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one heart, with one need, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace, alright. Make peace.